2024 come August 8th this year. And therefore, we are with the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. You know him, he doesn't need any introduction, a long-serving minister, many years, very experienced diplomat. I'm sure he has many of these issues in his fingertips. So I want you to join me in welcoming to come and give his address. And perhaps as a way of also resting, you can stand up. As a way of stretching up as he comes to address you, you stand up and give him an applause as he comes to the podium.
Please be seated. The Honorable His Excellency Peter Munya, the Chair of the Council of Governors, together with your entire team, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen, it's a matter of singular honor for me to be able to attend this forum for the first time. But I want to acknowledge that I've been following very closely the proceedings in the previous conferences. Allow me to congratulate the Council of Governors for being very bold, very precise. You, current Chair, Honorable Peter Munya, Governor of Meru, as well as your predecessor, the Honorable Isaac Ruto, Governor of Bomet. You have done this country proud. And of course, the entire membership. Let me say here at the very outset that the best thing that has ever happened to this country, and as you have rightfully pointed out, some of us have been around for a while. In fact, I think I joined politics at a very, very young age, so I've been able to see a lot of it. My own life history is the history of this country to date. Had we not made the mistake soon after independence, when this country adopted after Lancaster Conference a system of government that had Majimbo as part of it, we would be very, very far away. And so, since we have been able to recover and make good some of our mistakes, I agree with you that I'm not aware of any Kenyan today who would have an alternative to devolution. The word in Kiswahili, our national language, ungatuzi, is in the mind and the lips of every ordinary Kenyan. Devolution was not even for the elite, I dare say. Devolution is for the ordinary Kenyans. And so they uphold it. If one was to begin to say, which is the smallest, if you like, not necessarily because they're all equal counties in terms of the mandate that people are to you. But look at Lamu. If you were to go to the people of Lamu today and say, we want to wind up Lamu, you'll be courting civil war from that end. Therefore, this is a reality. And we are here, therefore, to celebrate this great Kenyan reality, arrived at after serious consultations across the country, after so many false starts when it came to the matter of amending our constitution and reforming the way we want to do business. I know that there are those who talk in terms of the size of government, the size of the current expenditure. These are issues that can be discussed going forward. But so that nobody in their right mind would want to touch the matter of devolution. Let me therefore congratulate your host governor as well, Kinuthia Muguna, whom I know, I've known as a public servant. And I think the world called Kenya has come to you. And I can see that the people of Nakuru are able to benefit from real domestic tourism. This is one of the things that the council has been able to do. And there may be those who want to be critical, but I think this is really a way of sensitizing and making the Kenyan people own the product called Devolution. Therefore, in my own mind, the number one serious beacon of hope going forward in this country is Devolution. And you know, from my part of the world, the NASA coalition, we are very clear. We are very clear, and I therefore want to commit the rest of my thoughts by reading a simple text, which I will try at times to use as the talking notes. Kenya has undergone great transformation since the advent of devolution in 2013. Areas that had hitherto been neglected for years since independence have seen tremendous change of fortunes. With the advent of decentralization, Kenyans can now access essential services that initially were just but a dream for many. To cite but a few examples of how devolution has changed lives, the Wajir County government, for instance, I do not know whether Governor Abdullah is here, has just built its first ever tarmac road, and I was able to witness that. More than 50 years after Kenya's independence. Today, courtesy of devolution, Wajir has more than 32 well-equipped maternity wings, constructed at least 8 fully equipped newly equipped or fully equipped new ambulances, and not less than 8 new dispensaries. Not to mention a kind of a state house in Wajir, which actually challenges in terms of academic and status, our own state house in Nairobi. Wonderful. Which actually 300 million shillings. You have a county headquarters that I'm quite sure is the envy of many. I don't know how many of your colleagues, Governor Munya, have been able to visit Wajir. It is absolutely inspirational to visit that county. Wajir County has also scored big on water and other infrastructure allocations. I had my good friend and brother, Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalo, talk about the various dams that Jubilee administration is trying to realize. But one, allow me to have that inquisitive mind, the timing of it. I can tell you for a fact, Itare Dam is a very controversial project because I've been on the ground and I've heard about it. But that is not for my speech this afternoon. In Murang'a, I don't know whether Governor Wairia is here, Mango area. The county government has empowered residents through provision of milk cooling plants. The county is reaping the fruits of backing a cooperative society to drive milk production for its dairy farmers, boosting the milk output to huge quantities. A recent report appearing in the press indicated that the rise in milk output has lined the pockets of the county's farmers and milk transporters attached to Murang'a County creameries with more than 150 million after producer recorded high production over the past 3 years. I therefore congratulate Governor Mwango Iria. I think he lived his name because Iria means milk. So in his own mind, he had to give people milk. Before the advent of devolution, farmers used to incur huge losses from spoiled milk due to lack of cooling machines. In Turkana County, and I'm informed that in terms of allocation, the county government of Turkana actually gets a lion's share because of the attempt, apart from anything else, to correct historical injustices. The forgotten people within courts of this county view devolution as a blessing. Decentralization has been received in the sub-counties with much appreciation due to its direct benefits to the citizens. More children are now receiving education. More health centers have been constructed, and the county is now a tourist hub, courtesy of Devolution. I believe Turkana holds a lot of promise for its residents as well as for the whole of our nation. With the recent discoveries of oil and huge underground water aquifers, things can only get better for Turkana and this country. In Makueni County, 84 earth dams have been constructed to provide water for irrigation. Early childhood development classes have been constructed as well. A fruit processing plant has been constructed at Kalamba. And Kalamba, by the way, is the entry point of the earliest missionaries to this country. The construction of the plant has changed the fortunes of mango farmers who used to suffer massive losses owing to lack of market during times of glut. I have used the 4 counties as examples just to highlight the success of devolution. Granted, each and every one of the 47 counties has a story to tell about how devolution has changed lives. Devolution was an idea that was long overdue. Had we embraced it 30 or 40 years ago, Kenya would now be a model of development in Africa, if not indeed for the whole world. It is not too late though. Huge opportunities still beckon us, and our future as a country looks bright in this regard. But there are challenges, ladies and gentlemen, that however, the strides on devolution have been hindered by various factors. To begin with, the 15% allocation of audited revenues to counties is actually just but a drop in the ocean. In fact, come to think of it, if the national government keeps 85% of the national budget, and the 47 of you actually just share 15%, and you're able to give these life-changing stories, what would happen? What would happen if that story just slightly improved? Therefore, we in the National Super Alliance Coalition promised to avail 45% of audited revenues to counties once we are sent to leadership later this year. This will drastically empower the devolved units and ensure that Kenyans at the grassroots fully feel the positive effects of decentralization and devolution. The kind of progress envisaged after the increment of the county funds is expected to be enormous. You'll even now be able to deal with viundo msingi, basic infrastructure, so that it doesn't have to be within the province of the national government to talk about the so many kilometers that I saw Governor Munya bring to the attention of President Uhuru Kenyatta. I think it is important to realize that this devolution story, if we all sincerely believe in it, we now must do the next necessary important matter. And that is what we have committed ourselves to do. You will recall, before the IEBC that has since gone home, before they actually went home, we used to sit down and get tear gassed outside the IBC, and we are saying Okoa Kenya. And we were very clear about that. We were so clear that we said we will give 45% to devolved government. And of course, our constitution is brilliant. Had anybody made the mistake of saying the national government and the county government without making it all important that these two are independent of each other, but they do need each other, I'm quite sure by now Jubilee would have wound up all your counties. But thank God that the Constitution is very clear on this matter. The second factor that hinders devolution is the deliberate failure by the Jubilee administration to devolve all county functions. You know, it doesn't make sense to devolve, and again, the Constitution is very clear, you devolve a function that must be accompanied by resources. It doesn't make sense to devolve a function like health, and then you see most of the funding goes to the referral hospitals and very little. Therefore, you end up with a situation like is facing the country now, a crisis in the health sector. I think I'll mention something a little later. By the way, Chairman, I wasn't given the amount of time available. I'll try and do the best I can. It is worrying that Jubilee has completely refused to devolve health functions to the counties, withholding most of the cash meant for the health sector at the headquarters while leaving the devolved units cash-strapped. There is also the problem of unnecessary delays by the Treasury in releasing funds meant for county governments, causing serious disruptions to service delivery. Failure to remit the monies on time not only delays service delivery and inconveniences suppliers and contractors, it also creates avenues for corruption, where suppliers and contractors have to bribe county government officials to have their payments literally fast-tracked. It is vital that this loophole be sealed. Monies meant for devolved units must not be unnecessarily withheld by the national government. Chair, you recall that before I came here, I had a small discussion with you on what is appearing in the press today, that both the national government and the Council of Governors have threatened to register the doctors. Well, I must, some of us are just there because for the love of this country, to always give you the red flag. And I must tell you, Constitution 2010 is so clear on the matter of the Bill of Rights. In fact, in this regard, we have one of the best constitutions in the world. The Bill of Rights, which make it mandatory for citizens of this country to recognize the basic freedoms as enshrined in the Bill of Rights are inalienable. Therefore, you cannot threaten, leave alone do anything else, threaten to deregister unions. This is definitely a archaic. It does not belong to the Kenya that we want to see further transformed. And therefore, to withdraw even what you have given to the doctors, and I thank you because you told me that this is not actually the case. Yeah, if you negotiate, the principle of negotiation, I'm happy to see my friends from South Sudan, is you must do so with good faith, negotiate in good faith. And I'm quite sure when the doctors say CBA, and they're so clear, they're completely apolitical. They even shouted at me and said, listen, Mr. Former Vice President, we do not want to hear anything about Jubilee or NASA. We just talk CBA, Collective Bargaining Agreement. You cannot run away from having to deal with them from a position of good faith. And therefore, when Kenyans wake up and they read that doctors have been sent to prison for whatever reason, it doesn't augur well for this land, which we so love, and which is so beautiful. But even as I fought the national government for its errors of omission and commission, I must state here that a number of governors and their juniors have failed Kenyans by engaging in vices that make a mockery of the devolution dream. Massive corruption has crept up in devolved units where funds are either outrightly embezzled or costs for goods and services are inflated to astronomical amounts by corrupt officials in collusion, obviously, sometimes with rogue contractors. And I'm quite sure, as Council of Governors, you know this has been a major challenge. I strongly believe that lifestyle audits are necessary for all national and county officials if we are to slay the dragon of corruption. But the big question is, who will bail the cat? The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, the Judiciary, the Directorate of Public Prosecution? We have answers as NASA to these questions. So that I do not frighten you. When Nigeria went the devolution way, the first crop of governors, a lot of them, ended up in jail. I don't wish any of you go that way. Because clearly you are trailblazers. You have tried to do the best you can, but where excesses have been committed, I think it's important to own up. I must remind myself and my colleagues in NASA that the coalition agreement that is already filed with the Registrar of Political Parties, bringing about the National Super Alliance, makes it very clear. We must be different from our friends in Jubilee. It will not be business as usual. And therefore, for us, any public officer who will be named as having participated in corruption or corrupt deals will have as a first measure to step aside. That is a given. Whether it is a president, the deputy president, or whoever under NASA. This is very clear to us. So that we now must begin to live the true dream of fighting and slaying the dragon of corruption. May I talk about women's empowerment and congratulate them that this is the Women's International Day. We are very proud of the Kenyan woman, the Kenyan girl child. We are truly proud. I would therefore not have done justice to this conference if I did not speak about what Devolution has done to empower us, our sisters, and indeed our daughters. And today being the International Women's Day, it is important to list the gains that Devolution has brought to Kenya. These include reduced maternal mortality rates following construction of more hospitals, health centers, and dispensaries. The ongoing doctor strike notwithstanding. Likewise, more women can now access clean water than ever before. It is instructive to know that women form majority of the Kenyan population, with an estimated 80% of them living in rural areas, playing visible economic development roles. Conversely, men dominate leadership and key decision-making positions across board. Kenya is a signatory to various international discrimination and gender equality conventions. And these conventions include International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination that entered into force on the 4th of January 1979, as well as a Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women that also entered into force on the 18th of December 1979. However, despite efforts, its socioeconomic and political context demonstrates some of the factors that constrain women's abilities to claim and experience their rights and entitlement in leadership and decision-making positions. According to a recent report, although women make up more than 50% of the Kenyan population, only 63 out of 349 members of parliament are elected. No women were elected as governors. And this is a challenge to all of us. I can't blame any of you, but I want to congratulate those of you who actually picked women as your running mates. We really must congratulate you for that, because that is in recognition of the importance of gender. No women were elected as governors again, and only 88 out of the 1,450 seats in county governments are held by women. This is a reflection of a serious underrepresentation of women in governance and in decision-making structures. It is evident that in order to achieve transparent and accountable governance, getting women empowered in social, economic, and political status is key, indeed mandatory. Without the active participation of women and the incorporation of women's perspective at all levels of decision-making, the goals of equality, of development, and peace cannot be achieved. Despite the constitutional requirement to ensure gender balance in the National Assembly and the Senate, the number of women MPs is discouraging to those who cherish this gender parity. On the 28th of April and on the 5th of May 2016, the Kenya National Assembly rejected the Constitution Amendment Bill number 4 of 2015, which sought to ensure that the National Assembly and the Senate would comprise of a membership that is not more than 2/3 of either gender. We in NASA pledge to ensure that this grave anomaly of gender underrepresentation is not only rectified, but that the 2/3 gender rule is activated even within parliaments in the devolved units. This will give Kenyan women leverage to actively take part in the nation's political, socio-economic affairs. We need to empower our women folk even more to right the wrongs that have been committed upon them over decades. I personally commit myself, Mr. Chairman, towards this goal. Affirmative action is a must. But on the same vein, I urge our women to redouble their efforts to ensure that they fully take part to chart Kenya's political destiny. I must conclude my remarks by wishing you, Mheshimiwa Governor Peter Munya and your team, all the best as you prepare to face up the Kenyan electorate on the 8th of August. I know a lot of you, and I know you have done the very best to bring about the reality of devolution. So as you face up, it will be a wonderful thing to have you continue in your second term. When I say this, I'm not campaigning for any of you. I've been accused before of making such statements. But we must recognize that these are men and women at the level of deputy governors, at least, who have been, as I say, trailblazers. And I know that it's like everybody has since realized that to become a governor, that is really where the real power is. And yes, power. But remember, power corrupts. And if you make yourself an absolute wielder of power, then you run the risk of being absolutely corrupt. Is in that the challenge you are facing as a nation? Therefore, I celebrate this very important day. And I'm truly honored because I suspect very strongly there will not be another devolution conference called the 5th Devolution Conference before the general election. So let me be the one to wish you well. And even as I do so, I wish myself even exceedingly well. And may that slip of the tongue, though historically incorrect, be your intention for yours truly. We love this nation. And I celebrate you, ladies and gentlemen. This is a wonderful nation. At the end of the day, we are all one people, one nation, one people, one great nation, whose potential is yet to be realized. May God bless the Council of Governors, Devolution, and our great nation, Kenya. Thank you.
Join me in applauding His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka for that very incisive speech. I'm sure you will declare him a warrior for devolution, given his commitment that if he takes over, or they take over, they will provide 45% of the resources to go to devolved units. So that underlines that he is committed to the cause of devolution. I did not want to really respond to some of the issues he has raised, but I wanted to make it clear that the position of the Council of Governors is that we don't condone corruption in the counties or anywhere, even at the national level, anywhere. We don't condone corruption. And we have always stated wherever we have had an opportunity to say that the institutions that deal with corruption, which are actually controlled at the national level, are free to do their job. We don't have the power or the capacity to prevent them from doing their job. And therefore, I don't know what stops them from investigating and concluding investigations and taking whoever is corrupted to court. What we have been against is the generalizations and trying to paint everybody with one brush in the name of corruption. That we are against that, because we don't want people to be painted corrupt when there is no evidence. Give a general impression that all governors are corrupt. It is wrong. That impression is wrong. We always insist that do investigations, get facts, charge in court whoever has been seen to have misused public funds. That the generalizations that we see in the media every day, I saw yesterday governors being described as lieutenants. Lieutenants. Just, what is the impression? To say everybody who is sitting in the position of a governor is engaging in looting. That's not fair. It is not fair. If governors were jailed in Nigeria, well, Kenya is not Nigeria, and I'm not saying Kenyan governors should not be jailed. I'm just saying it doesn't add any value, issuing those as threats. Let those who have the responsibility and the legal mandate to investigate corruption do so and charge whoever is engaging in corruption. Period. Then that is finished, then we move on. But when you fill these institutions with suspected fellows who don't even have the capacity to investigate anything, whose backgrounds are also suspect, and who are most of the time engaging in trying to get some handouts from whoever they're investigating, then what do you expect? So you keep blaming everybody and walking around talking about this. It is not necessary. Who has prevented these institutions from doing their job? The only issue pending in court about governors is ambulances. Ambulances that were rented properly from an institution that is actually semi-government that is providing services, the Red Cross, that is providing services to the people. Those are the issues that are pending in court. I am not defending anybody. I'm not saying people cannot be corrupt. I'm not saying a governor cannot be corrupt, but I'm saying for God's sake, do your job. Do your job and take them to court. And then the general impression also that any corruption in the county is perpetrated by a governor. The governor is the end of the institution. The governors, I know from my position, the efforts that have been doing to deal with the issues of corruption in the county level. A lot of effort being done. Even some people being sacked in the counties, we have that record, people being sacked for being corrupt. Some even being prevented from being sacked by the courts stopping it. A lot of policy decisions that are intended to deal with the problem of corruption. So to say when there is corruption in counties, it is governors who are corrupt is also another fallacy that is always penduled around. The same fallacy that money has been given to the governor. When money is given to a county, the story is so much billions have been given to the governor. It's not the governor. The governor is the end of government. The county government is an institution with so many employees, ministers, everybody working, and checks and balances that are operating there. I do not want to go that direction, but I know His Excellency, the former Vice President, was giving this point in good faith, and he was fighting, saying that corruption should be dealt with wherever it is found, whether at the county level or at the national level. The issue of the doctors' strike. In our statement, there is nowhere where we said we want to deregister the union of doctors. We don't have the power. I don't think anybody has the power to deregister the union. Everybody is allowed by the Constitution to be unionizable and to join unions. The only thing we said is that also the employer also has options. If you don't work and you have been employed to work for 3 months, all processes have been done to deal with your issues, fair offers have been given and you don't want to continue working, the employer also enjoys certain rights. And especially the public who are served by the doctors. It's not the employer, really. It's not the governors or the president. It is the ordinary citizen who is also entitled to health care. And indeed, even our Constitution recognizes health care, access to health facilities and health care as another fundamental right. So there is no right that is absolute. All rights are balanced by other obligations that we have to the general welfare of our society. So, and the other clarification, we did not know the entire offer was not withdrawn. There was a sweetener given the previous night of 600 million, which was given on condition that the doctors report to work today, which they did not. It is that backdating of 600 million from January that was withdrawn. The entire offer of 50% increase in their salaries is still there on the table. It was not withdrawn. But it is theoretically on the table because the strike has already run its course. Letters of dismissal are already being issued. So it is on the table for those who go back to work. It is on the table for people who go back to work. So we are imploring our doctors to return back to work, but both levels of government are now working on contingency measures to return back the health sector to where it was by looking for services wherever they are available in the continent or outside the continent for those who want to come and provide those services to deal with the infancy until a situation where our doctors will be ready to go and provide the services they are supposed to provide to the public. I want you to again applaud the Vice President and give him a very hearty applause as we give him we are also giving a few presents to our distinguished guests who have come to be with us to recognize the effort they have made to come all the way to Nakuru to address us, and also to recognize their commitment to devolution. And I'm sure the delegates here are also joining me in wishing you very well in your pursuit of being elected the President of this Republic in August, even as you also wish us well. So.
Thank you very much. An applause again, please. And again, you'll agree with me that that was, those two speeches were the best speeches, were very important speeches in terms of securing devolution in this country. His Excellency the Vice President went through the gains that we have had since the period we initiated devolution. I would like to tell His Excellency, the Vice President, the former Vice President, that actually the session that is coming, we welcome you to stand in that session. It's moderated by our youth, and we want to see how the youth will perform in terms of moderating. And it's about equality and inclusive development in the country. Please feel welcome to attend that particular session. I'm also being reminded that those who are dancing for the Women's Day can also get into the tweet, hashtag DEFCON 2017, and see how they were dancing. If you do that, take your phone right away, hashtag 2017 and DEFCON 2017, tweet anything you wish as you watch the video with your names there. I'm also reminded that His Excellencies, all the governors will be meeting at 3 p.m. at the administration block to discuss the CMBA for the nurses. Please don't forget that. And as we proceed, I think His Excellencies will be aware about the peace memorandum that has got to be signed at on the banners. Let me welcome everyone now to this particular panel, which is very, very important on equality and inclusivity, to be moderated by Susan Kariuki. Please, Susan Kariuki, come over. The session speaker is going to be Ms. Wilfred Lichuma. Please come over. The session chair is Honorable Machage, Senator Machage, please come over. Honorable Machage, please come over. And then we have got panelists, His Excellency Professor Chepkone, His Excellency Adelina Mwao, Madam Adelina Mwao, We have got Mr. Ronnie Osumba. Osumba, my friend. Yeah. And even as we proceed, please, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that we have got a very interesting video that we shall be showing about how the governors used to look like when they were youth. And I think I wish we had time, we would have screened that one for His Excellency, the Vice President, to see it briefly. I think it will take about 5 minutes if the people at the back can put that video for the Vice President, former Vice President, to see the video and how people used to look at their youth as we proceed. We have got Nixon Kakiri, National Association of the Deaf. Faith Kasiva. Abdia Adan, please welcome. Watch the video, please, briefly, few minutes.
Ewe ndugu yangu we, amka kumekucha, kamata jembe na panga, twende shamba. Hata wewe mwanangu, amka kumekucha, kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda shule. Hata wewe karani, amka kumekucha, kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda kazi. Uvivu ndio adui ujenzi wa taifa, jiepushe na uvivu, tujenge taifa.
Thank you very much. That's what there is. In the evening, there will be dinner organized by the County of Nakuru. His Excellency Governor Mbugua will be organizing dinner. Please don't forget that. The same place where we had last night. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's clap for this particular panel. Let's clap again, people, please. Thank you very much. Can you proceed?
Thank you. In your program, this session chair was supposed to be Senator Omar. I've had to replace him because he's not in the House. I will not go into the controversies of corruption of the governors or not. I'll straight away focus my mind on panel 5, whose theme is equality and inclusivity, development at the county level for sustainable development at the county level. My name is Machage, the Senator for Migori County. The objective of this session is to take stock of where the nation, in terms of implementing equitable representation, promotion of marginalized groups, cultural diversity, and gender. Let's take the opportunity to introduce the members of this session. And as I call your name, I'll be glad if you stand for the members to applaud you. Today's session speaker is Commissioner Wilfred Lichumba, EBS, Chair, National Gender and Equality Commission. I'm the session chair. Applause me. The moderator is Ms. Susan Karaoke, CEO, Youth Agenda. We have several panelists. The first one is His Excellency Professor Paul Chepkonyi, the Chair, Education, Gender and Youth Committee of the Council of Governors. The second one is His Excellency Honorable Adelina Mwau, OGW, Deputy Governor, Makueni County. The third member is Ms. Cicely Karaoke, EGH, MBS, CBS, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Public Service, Gender and Youth Affairs. She's not here. Any representative? None. We have also Mr. Roni Osumba, Chair, Youth Enterprise Fund. Instead of Ms. Karin, we have Faith Kasira, a team leader in UN Women. She's here? Very good. And we have Abdia Adan from Wajir County. From Wajir County. Wajir. Depends on where you grew up. Thank you very much for applauding the panelists and other speakers. May I and allow me to call the session speaker, Commissioner Wilfred Lichumba, to make her speech. Now, you realize we are 7 minutes late. We have to close at 1:30. I am very strict with the time. I'll give you not more than 10 minutes.
Thank you, moderator. Just to request that the sign language interpreters, we have one client here who cannot follow the proceedings. Can somebody move to give the interpretation, please? We have a colleague here who needs assistance. Thank you. Just to correct, I am Lichuma, Mrs., not Lichumba. I chair the National Gender and Equality Commission. We want to appreciate this moment when we celebrate the International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day. And the message is, be bold to take the challenge. So I hope as I do the presentation, the women in the room and the men in the room will agree with me that yes, we have made strides, but we still need to do more. Gender equality achieves a lot of diversity within our intervention. Allow me to give apologies on behalf of the Cabinet Secretary responsible for gender matters, Madam Cicely Karaoke. She would have loved to be here, but she has a function celebrating this important day in Nairobi, where His Excellency is the guest, and therefore she would not be here. Please do accept her apologies. Now, the National Gender and Equality Commission is created within the Constitution, and our mandate is to promote gender equality, freedom from discrimination. The target groups include women, persons with disabilities, the minorities, the marginalized, the children, the youth, including all members of society. When you come out the room and practice, you can see the constitution. We have big now because the constitutional provisions are there. We all need to live to respect the Constitution. Now, we have looked around, and issues of social inclusion must be considered in our interventions. The 2/3 gender rule must be respected in all our recruitment and implementation framework. Persons with disabilities, the law expects that they be included at 5%. Economic, social, cultural rights must be made available, though progressively. So what is the story of equality and inclusion in the county governments? I want to share with you the findings of a report which we soon will be launching, that we put together with help of KIPRA, which is a research organization with the mandate to do research. And we looked at all the 47 counties and the national government. And we took indicators, 4 indicators. One was education. The second was employment. The third was how do we get to do issues around employment and social protection. And the last was political representation. Now, I'll come to the political representation as I wander. In education, clearly we know that ECD is a function of the county governments. And we want to say that the verdict is we've done very well, but we can do a little bit more, especially in terms of putting in analysis, in terms of infrastructure, because in terms of employment, most of the very, very there are those representation. Most counties have done well, but we can still do better. The lacking issue here was data. We were not able to get aggregated data that would show us how you went about to get the women, persons with disabilities, the youth, and the marginalized within the employment sector. So that is an area we need to do a little bit more. On children, we found that about 15% of children have never made an attempt to go to school, and that was in 2015. So despite education at that level being free and compulsory, we still have children that have not gone to school. And when we had a chance to chat with some of your excellency governors here, they still that believe that the issues around children are not devolved. And the question I ask is, everybody is at the devolved function. You cannot do your development without including the children. And therefore, as much as the ECD level is at the county level, I think we need programs that can get children getting to go to school from ECD and proceeding on. At the level of the youth employment, the proportion was quite low. And we are looking at the high levels of youth that are out of school, high level of youth that have graduated, have gotten the training, and have not been employed. So as a country, the issue of youth unemployment is a key issue that we need to address. Persons with disabilities, as much as we brought them on board, there is still not the 5% progressively that has been realized. So that we need more investments in having persons with disabilities being part of our teams when we get to do the employment. Social protection. Children, women, older members of society, persons with disabilities have immensely benefited from the social protection programs that are running at the national level and at the county level. We want to applaud all the governors for this. Again, we are calling for more resources to go into these vulnerable groups so that they can be part and parcel of the management of the county government. And therefore, at the county level, we need to attach pre-primary component to each primary school. We need to provide capitation grant for ECD level. We need to offer more training and deploying of more of the teachers. Now, let me look at the issue of social protection. Every county has tried to set aside some resources to go into this program. But we do appreciate that the resources that go to the county cannot allow huge resources to go into the social protection program. So we want to urge that as we look forward towards the next level of the county government, that we can begin to renegotiate the issues around the resources that were supposed to go for the very marginalized communities, that these be administered around the county government so that we can have increased budgets going into the social protection. Now, finally, the political representation. We've not done very well as a country. And I'm happy that the report already we've had is that many women came in through the nomination process. At the county level, there was no senator elected within the 47 counties. There was equally no governor elected within the 47 counties. Happy again that 9 county governments were able to present good female who have performed very well. Let's put our hands together for the female deputy governors. We've interacted quite a lot. Now, the Article 100 legislation of the Constitution was expected to promote issues of women, persons with disabilities, youth, ethnic and other minorities in times of being able to participate in our political line. Again, the National Assembly and the Senate have not been able to give us Article 100 legislation. Time ran out in 2016 after the time allowed by the Constitution, and nobody seems to be bothered in terms of how we are proceeding with a law not implemented as per the Constitution. As I wind up, National Assembly and the County Assembly still remains a constitutional crisis. We saw the National Assembly and the Senate throw away the proposal we had worked very hard to put before them, because the inherent problem with the political representation is within the Constitution of Kenya. And we have said if we do not tamper with that constitution, there is no way we are going to realize the 2/3 gender rule. Ladies and gentlemen, those who are running, I'm sorry I'll have to say this, the Constitution is very clear. The current National Assembly and Senate are unconstitutional, but allowed to thrive by a Supreme Court advisory opinion, which I believe will come to an end on the 8th August. So Kenyans, come out and elect both men and women. If any of those two houses do not meet the 2/3 gender rule, the provision of Article 261 is very clear. A Kenyan will move to court to have the houses declared unconstitutional. So I want to really put to all of us who are running that the danger is there. We will have a constitutional crisis, but as in the long term, we must find an opportunity to even make the gubernatorial positions to attract more women. And I believe maybe it would be that in every of those positions, if we have a male as the leader, the deputy must be female. And I think if we made that mandatory even at the gubernatorial level, we will have more women coming to take those political seats. Of course, there are obvious reasons we know why women cannot be able to stand and get those positions. I don't think I want to run to really try to give you what you already know. The women, generally, the issues of violence, issues of the huge resources that are required to mount a successful campaign, issues of culture have kept women away. And therefore, as we debate this issue, I would really want to see whether we have any solutions for the August election, as we all are hoping that both men and women will present themselves and Kenyans will elect both men and women. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. You were told that it's a young person facilitating this session, and yes, it's true. And we only have 45 minutes, so I will run it very, very fast. If it means us doing it on Twitter and Facebook, we will do so to be able to achieve our objective. Thank you so much, Winnie, for that reflection. And as you were told by the chair, we are here to reflect, to take stock on what we are able to achieve or what we intend to achieve in the next 1 year, or not even 1 year, less than 1 year. And one thing that I am normally humbled about is that we are human beings. We are bound to make mistakes, but we are also placed with high responsibilities. So I want us to be very, very candid in this session to be able to answer this question on actually whether we've been able to achieve much in terms of inclusivity and equitability at the county level. And I want to throw a question to all of us. I'm a believer in public participation. How many of us on a score of 1 to 5 can say that the county governments have done very well in terms of inclusion and equitable development at the county level? By a show of hand, how many of us are happy with what the county governments have done? By a show of hand, I hope the rapporteurs are taking this. How many, again, by a show of hand, are not happy with what is happening at the county level in terms of inclusivity and equitable development? How many are not happy? Quite, okay. Looks like a majority are happy. I think this is very good. I think we need to clap for ourselves. The ones who are not happy have made us get an average of C, so we need to aim for an A. So as at now, with the panel that is here, we are at C. I'll be getting the feedback from Twitter and Facebook on also what women are saying and what young people are saying and also what people with disability are saying. I have been following keenly, and one of the things that has been coming out from people out there is that youth, women, PWD is a function that is very silent in the Constitution, and anything that is silent is assumed to be a national government function. So why are we discussing youth, PWD, and gender in a county government forum if it is not our function? I believe it's because it's a responsibility that is placed on us. Honorable Chepkwony, how many times have you discussed women's agenda in your COG meeting? How many times have you discussed youth agendas in your COG meetings? How many times have you discussed PWD issues in your COG meetings? And what measures have you agreed as governors to take at the county level?
Thank you very much, the moderator. Before I make a few comments, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the women on the International Women's Day. I am Chair, Youth Affairs, Culture, Gender, and Education at the Council of Governors. So congratulations, women. Second, I would like to urge and to request all women who are in the age bracket of childbearing to breastfeed their children for at least 6 months. If you want to know the benefits of breastfeeding, look at me. I was breastfed for 3 years. And that's why you can see I do not look at written notes. Everything is right here. We take the issues of women, people with disability, and the youth seriously at the Council of Governors. Let me begin what the Council of Governors decided to do from the onset for women, people with disability, and youth for all the 47 counties. We decided to deliberately support these 3 groups because it is a constitutional requirement. It is not a privilege. It is a right. And all the governors are committed to this cause. One very important thing that the Council of Governors has done to actualize the success of the support of these groups is to work with international partners. And I will cite a few examples. we know that these groups of people are facing a lot of risks from everything, and especially diseases. And I want to begin with one example of a disease called HIV/AIDS. We decided that as a way of fighting stigma, we would use what we call County Maisha League, in which the main objective was to fight the stigma and to kick out HIV/AIDS from counties and therefore Kenya. This was done very, very successfully, and at the end of the day, it was adopted by the presidency.
Okay.
And the powerful message is, yes, if somebody is positive, nothing should be done about that person other than we should love them as our own brothers and sisters. And we link them to treatment. If somebody is HIV negative, may they be encouraged to remain so forever. Governors as well agreed that they would be rolling out, and they already rolled out what we call Governors Gender Roundtable, where women are invited to come and express their views on what it is that they desire the counties should do for them. And the first roundtable was launched in Kericho.
Okay.
And so many other counties have followed suit. But there's another very important area of support, which we said we must work as far as the Constitution is concerned. The tenders and the opportunities for employment for these groups, 30% is not negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give you a few examples. Like, for example, in Kericho, 35% of all tenders go to the youths, women, and people with disability. And quite a number of counties, too, are within this particular range. Finally, I would like to talk about...
Yes, and I want to give you 1 minute. Allow me...
1 minute.
Yes.
The support for sports by the Council of Governors. What has happened is, we said we are supporting sports not just as a career, but as a way of making sure that the youth do not become idle and therefore become destructive to themselves.
Okay.
And for that reason, counties have been setting aside at least 8% of their budgets to support these activities. And so many counties now are now producing very professional footballers and athletes. Kericho, for the first time, by the way, is having a team playing in the county, in the Premier League, for the first time, courtesy of the...
So as
governors as governors is collective. We do things in a manner that when you look at the 47 across, most of the things are reproducible so that youths across all the counties are happy.
okay.
Thank you.
I am sure we'll be hearing from the audience on actually whether what you have said is exactly the reality on the ground. But before we do that, allow me to introduce two people who were not introduced by the chair, two wananchis that we have. We have Mary Kakuko, who is from West Pokot, and she's a young person. Please wave to the audience. And we also let's clap for her. And we also have Nixon Kakiri from the Kenya National Association of the Deaf. Apologies for that. Faith, I'm looking at you, and I know that you've been working on gender issues for a long time with the UN Women. You've supported many, you've supported actually COG, you've supported civil society organization. What is your assessment of the performance of the county government when it comes to gender issues? In 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. My name is Faith Kasiva. I work for UN Women, but I'm a proud daughter of Kitui County, and I'm happy to see the leadership of Kitui County and Ukambani here. That means that where I come from, we support devolution. Just to your question, let me very quickly say that UN Women and the Council of Governors have been collaborating for the last 3 years with support from DFID and UNDP on effective implementation of gender function at the county level. And last year, we did carry out a rapid assessment on where are we at. If we are to take stock, where are we at in terms of gender equality and women's empowerment at the county level. Now, very briefly, just to say that the parameters that we used were planning, CDPs and the annual development plans of the counties. To what extent have we incorporated gender? We also looked at the institutional framework and structures in the various counties, and we also looked at the organizational culture within the counties. Let me just say that we only focused on 10 counties for various reasons, mainly because we were looking at a sample size that will be able to give us results that we can attribute to the rest of the counties. So what did we find? Let me say these were actually what I am going to give you a preliminary report, the findings of this assessment, and what they said is that for the CIDPs, unfortunately, none of the counties had taken into consideration gender analysis to base their county planning, on that. But allow me to single out, I think, Kisumu County and Kilifi County for really being able to isolate some very gender-specific concerns to elaborate their programs on their CIDP. So please, a round of applause for Kisumu and Kilifi. But of the 70 counties, that is the 70% of the 10 counties, we did note that actually they had draft gender policies. However, 70% of the CIDPs that we have, of the 10 counties that we looked at, do not distinguish between women and men for the purposes of planning, programming, budgeting, a situation that really masks the differences between women and men. So, in terms of institutional structure for gender mainstreaming, what did we find?
Half a minute.
This goes with what Professor Chepkoni has said. Indeed, there is commitment to gender equality and women's empowerment because we did find that all the 10 counties are gender directorates.
Oh,
and I think that's something that's commendable.
I think we should clap for that. That's a good progress.
However, none of the counties had skilled staff to support the directories that they have, or even adequate facilities and financial resources to go with that. Again, allow me to single out Turkana County, because in Turkana County we did find that their budget allocation for 2016 was actually one of the highest among the 10 counties that we looked at. And I mean, given the competing priorities for Turkana County, I think that's commendable. Again, Wajir County. In Wajir, we did find, in fact, they had a strategic plan on gender mainstreaming and a budgetary allocation for gender mainstreaming and women's empowerment, which increased from financial year 2015 and 2016, significantly, actually. So what is the trend that we are seeing in these counties? There is political commitment. I mean, certainly that is there for gender equality and women's empowerment. So what we are lacking are concrete results for gender equality and women's empowerment. But I don't think we should beat ourselves too much, because then this is the initial stage of evolution, and there has been, as the professor has alluded to, there is goodwill towards this. We are seeing budget allocation towards this, and we are also seeing commitment by putting in place infrastructure, and in this I mean gender directorates and departments. Allow me to touch on the work culture.
I have to cut you short, Faith, because we need to pick the comments also from the people with, living with disabilities. So allow me to cut you, and then we'll get back to you later. Okay. Nixon, what's the status like with regards to PWDs?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. As persons with disabilities, when you look at the Constitution, Article 177, about representation. At the county level, we have over 100 persons with disabilities who are representing us. That's at the county level. But at the same time, when you look at Article 54 of the Constitution, employment of persons with disabilities, the 5% employment of persons with disabilities, this, I will agree with the chair. As he said, it's not, we've not achieved this. We have very few counties who have attempted, like who have actually gotten persons with disability at a very low level. When you talk about allocation of persons with disabilities, it's not very adequate. What we see out there, persons with disabilities have a lot of concerns and they need to be involved in some issues. Okay. When you talk about public participation, most of our members don't get the information. So when we are making policy, we have to be involved so that at least we are included in policy making. So we have some counties that have come up with the Disability Act.
And I will request that we try and make it brief.
Make it brief. Some of the counties have come up with the Disability Act, but I would say it was just a copy-paste of the Disability Act of 2013. So we believe that inclusion and participation of persons with disability is very key and very important for visibility. So basically that's what I can commend. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That feedback is very, very good, especially from the women and also from PWD. We'll be getting back to youth issues later. But I want to take a question from the floor that you have that you'd actually want to ask. Again, I don't believe that you should be the last people to ask a question. The respondent can also respond last. Any question from the floor? Yes.
Hello, my name is Ruth Adhiambo Dinga, Deputy Governor, Kisumu County, also Chair of the Kenya Network of Women Governors. I would like to ask this, probably to my Governor, Chepkwony, not to ask, but actually to state, please, we do appeal, because it's the wearer of the shoe who knows where it pinches, to have a gender committee that only comprises of men without any women actually does not make sense in the Council of Governors. We therefore appeal, you even have women deputy governors, have us there so we can also come and make issues at governance. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you so much. I think that's a good proposal, because if you're not on the table, you only become a menu, and you know that when you're a menu, at times you cannot be able to contribute anything. So it's good when you're also partaking the food on the table. I will take one last question. I'll come back to Jonathan later. Let me take the gentleman.
Beatrice.
Oh, sorry. Let me take a young man here, and then I'll come back to you later.
Thank you. It's Women's Day. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. This is a good forum. We're talking about everything devolution. We're talking about infrastructure, public-private partnerships. We're talking about sustainable development. For us to be able to achieve any of the SDGs, education is a very important aspect of it. We cannot rule out education. So we know the challenges we're facing as a country, limited budgets for public education. Private education is becoming more and more expensive. And now there's a lot of players that are coming in between public and private as alternative providers of education. But we still don't have very good regulations or structures within which we can accommodate these institutions. Some are doing a very good job. They're using digital technology to improve efficiency in management and administration of education. They're recording very good performance in national examinations, and most importantly, they're employing young people and giving women an opportunity to play a very major role in taking their children to school. For us to be able to devolution working, even in the future, we must start educating our children now. If we don't support these schools, we are essentially putting many children and therefore many of our future leaders out of school and will not be able to achieve any of these devolution milestones that we are looking at. So my urge is that all the stakeholders here work towards ensuring that education, even though it's not fully devolved right now, set up structures that can help in intergovernmental relations, government and the county governments, and also support, because in the end, it's universal education that we want to achieve. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that feedback. I think that also ties to what the chair had said. The issue of education needs to be addressed, as well as issues of unemployment that have also come out, and also representation in decision making. Let me take that question there, and then I'll come to the Deputy Governor Mweke, and then we'll close up and then take a few panelists to respond to one or two issues.
I'm Beatrice, CC Agriculture, Bomet County. I want to direct my question to Madam Lichuma, that given the extensive participation of women in agriculture, or in agricultural production, what are the strategies that your commission has to work closely with the counties to make sure that there is equality in women, those who are in agriculture? Because you find that they are the ones who are doing a lot of work, but at the end of the day, they don't get the income. Somebody else gets the income. So what are we doing so that we achieve sustainable agricultural development and economic growth, especially in women, because it's high percentage that women are participating in agricultural production, and they are the ones making sure that this country is food secure because they are going to the farms. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding us, actually, the resolution of the last Devolution Forum, and I will read that there should be deliberate steps and measures of inclusion of women, youth, persons with disability in policy formulation and decision-making in critical sectors such as agriculture and health. And I'm sure Professor will also be responding to that. We are only taking the last question. Make it very brief, Deputy Governor.
I'm not sure how brief I can be with this topic on youth and women, because it's what affects us as a country. My name is Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor of Nairobi. In Kenya, we have what you call a youth bulge. It means that 80% of the young people in this country are under 35, 50% of them being under 18, which means if we don't deliberately put in policies to ensure that we empower our young people, for them to be able to find work, gainful employment. And if that happens, then since they produce at their peak when they're young, your economy grows. If we don't empower the young people to ensure that they can, one, find a skill, like my friend here has said, get some education, two, find a job, or three, do some business, then it's a recipe for social, economic, and political unrest. So I urge all the county governments, the national and even the sector, if you're investing in young people. Number two, there is even one. Boats have been struggling to get women on their boats. Some have just not been able to find the right skill. Others just wanted to remain, as usual, an old man's club. It's even worse. President Kenyatta has not chair. He said, and you're in a how do all
those remarks are youth, and I even blame the council for electing women. Not their problem. It is the electorate who have a problem. But the electorate are struggling with the question of whether, when we have more women in leadership, what impact are they bringing on board? And I know it's a question that we've asked, and many people are saying, many people keep saying, no, don't ask that question if you're not asking that question to the men or to other people out there. But we want to hear your success story. In your county government, how do you feel that your role has enabled you to bring impact in the old mama who is out there or a young woman who is out there? Please share your success story on the ground, and then we'll pick up we'll listen to Ronnie.
Thank you. I want to echo the words of the former Vice President of saying that devolution is the answer to actually meeting the needs of marginalized people. It's a baby that actually needed to come 50 years, 60 years back then. One of the issues of women, people living with disability, and young people is that health is an issue that affects them very much. And for example, if you look at the budgets in the counties, you can see they have grown from 54 billion in the first year to 75 billion. For Makueni, this is 22% of the budget. And for Makueni, the average is 30%. We've come up with initiatives of most of the counties have come up with infrastructures that really target antenatal, which is a role that women play. They've come up with the clinics, building clinics closer to the people so that women can have time to go to clinic and do other things. For Makueni, we've come up with a program in the health sector that we are calling universal health care. This universal health care is you pay 500 for 1 year and your family will access a medical or free charge. You can stay in our level 4 hospitals and get treatment. We've made sure also that we've equipped our level 4 hospitals with theaters, with x-rays, so that people don't travel far to go here. And the universal health care is a way to actually reach the poor, disability, and also the young people who are unemployed. So that's one of the initiatives that we've taken up, and I think most counties, in terms of working services close of the village. Come up with people has been water.
Makueni. To this project
in that table that sensitively meets women's youth and people living with disability, but also our governor also who is gender sensitive as well.
I know the chair of COG left, but I think the recommendation that came from the floor that we need to have gender advisory team within the COG, I think is something that I think we need to come, because otherwise then when you become a menu, you really can't, again, as I said, contribute to this discussion. There's the issue of youth is also coming up. The issues are normally skill, market, and the fund. We spoke to the millennials the other day and they say that they do not feel this youth fund. It is not. So why should I queue to go to the constituency office, or why should I go to look for this fund from there? Now they want what they call Biashara Bank, because Equity has also come up with the one that you can actually just get a loan from the phone without hustling. Young people don't like hustling. Ronnie, I want you to comment to those issues, but I also want you to highlight and provide the linkage between a question that has been raised over time by young people saying that YEDEF people apply at the constituency level, but approvals are done at the national level. Why are you refusing to devolve that function of providing funds to young people at the county level?
Thank you, Susan. First and foremost, let me just say that the youth question, I think, is a very complex question. It's an issue that challenges both national and county governments, and we cannot just throw money at it. I think we need to understand the complexities of the factors that drive youth. That said, I think I have traveled in a lot of counties, and I want to commend a lot of counties for doing good work. Some counties are setting aside funds to support young entrepreneurs, counties which are investing in skills training. I was speaking the other day with Governor Wairia, who I think has left, but he is now investing specifically in training young people in soft skills like masonry, painting, carpentry. And I think that is pretty much the way to go. The country today is going through something we call the demographic dividend, called by another name as youth bulge, as Deputy Governor Mweke rightfully said. We are experiencing low birth rates, low birth rates, which means then that we have a bigger working age population. We need to absolutely invest in this, and the first thing we need to do is invest in education. We need to re-engineer our education system so that at the end of the funnel we are producing people who are ready for to engage with the markets rather than to look for jobs, to look for opportunities in the market to make a living. Secondly, we need to invest in employable skills. We need to look more into soft skills through, for example, TVET, the TVETs that we have across the country. We can produce more masons, we can produce more plumbers. I'm sure many of us here struggle to find a good plumber. And that is because we are not investing enough. We need to invest in having young people sitting at where the policies are being made. And this is a challenge for us. In many of the counties that I have gone to, I am usually the youngest person in the room when we are having this conversation with governors. And that is because young people have not been given space in decision making. Young people always have a saying in the streets. They say no policy about youth without youth. And I think that really should become a rallying call in how we manage youth affairs, that we should have the youth in the room. That said, the youth fund obviously has been set up to try and address this gap in employment. We are not the silver bullet. We are not going to address all youth issues, but we are going to try and do what we possibly can. To date, Youth Fund has disbursed 5 billion shillings. When you look at the 5 billion shillings across all counties, you will begin to appreciate that we have so much challenge, in the sense that in some counties where they are naturally predisposed to enterprise, there is a higher uptake. So for example, in Nairobi has the largest share at 2 billion shillings, followed by, I think, Kiambu at 950 million shillings, followed by Murang'a at 750 million shillings, then Meru at 650 million shillings. You begin to see the picture. And towards the end of the table, you have counties like Turkana, where you only have 19 million shillings uptick in the last 10 years. This obviously is an issue of concern to us, so we want to address the equity issues, but there are also cultural issues. In some counties, young people just, because of their predisposition again, and maybe because of cultural issues, are afraid to take loans. In some counties, we've gone and they've said, this youth fund, hii ni pesa ya uhuru, we don't want. In some counties, we've gone and they've said, this is political money, it was set up as a political fund, we will take it and we will not pay. So we are facing all sorts of challenges across the country. But I think going forward, one of the things we want to do is to leverage on the economic advantages of each county. So we are doing an opportunity mapping across the country, and we want to ensure that at each county level, and we are asking the governors to assist us with this, that the economic advantage of the county needs to be the area of opportunity to invest in for young people. And we are doing this mapping soon, we should be rolling it out. I know Susan has asked me in terms of access. We want to consolidate the activities of the fund at county level. Today we are at constituency level, but that model is not working very well because our constituency officers are roving ambassadors. So we will consolidate at county level. We will form a hub, and we're already in partnership with UN Habitat to roll out these hubs at county level. Okay. We are inviting private sector partners to partner with us so that we can facilitate young people at that level. But more importantly, we are also investing in ICT and technology. Technology is the way to go. Young people are disadvantaged because they don't have access to the information.
Yes.
Mobile phone, because spend 85% on the mobile phone. We want to ensure that they can be able to, at the click of a button, access information about the youth fund, access information about opportunities in each county of financing, click of a button, process these facilities within 48 hours.
Thank you, Ronnie. We are running out of time. I wish we could have this conversation for another 30 minutes, but we only have 3 minutes. Abdin, please make a comment. She's representing the Mwananchi, and then we'll pick Mary, and then we'll get to the final comment.
Thank you very much. As we celebrate the World Women's Day, it's my prayer and my sincere appeal to all Kenyans that we should not see women dying of issues related to childbirth. Imagine they die of road accidents. They die of any other thing a man dies of, and on top of that, the mother still dies of maternity-related issues. I represent Mwananchi here, but I also work with development partners, the UN partners in Wajir. I support our reproductive health program in Wajir. Through the County Department of Health, we have moved strides. It is through this project and through the devolution that we have Habaswene, which is a sub-county in Wajir County, and Bute, which is a sub-county in Wajir County. After 54 years of independence, we had the first cesarean section done. So this is a stride done by the county government with support from the development partners, which we need to celebrate about. The other thing is the 3 issues which really kill these mothers. And when a mother dies of issues related to childbirth, it touches on human rights issues. It really touches on human rights. There are 3 key issues, the delay.
Well, we are on the sidelines of the 4th Devolution Conference. At the moment, there is a panel discussion ongoing regarding the status of women and youth in devolution. Have they been given? What really been done regarding the welfare of women and youth as the Devolution Conference continues on the 2nd day. Today is also the International Women's Day, and we are also celebrating the women who've been able to work hand in hand with all Kenyans in general to push for devolution and its success thus far. I am joined with the governor of Nakuru County. He is the one who's been privileged rather to host this devolution conference this time round, and Governor Kinuthia Mugwa joined us to discuss on Governor for
by during coincidental for the annual Devolution conference. And I must say that this conference hosting in this county has been a great boost to this county in the sense that this is a real demonstration of what devolution is all about, coming to the people. Ordinarily, such conferences would have been held in Nairobi, but it is right here being held not only in the county headquarters, but in a sub-county headquarters, and this is the of a devolution. And it is also a very a great mark of the confidence that the whole country has in this county, a stable and a peaceful county where such a forum can be held with satisfaction and without hitch. And let me say that as the head of this county, I must say that this county has a very beautiful and good story to tell about devolution, starting with Nakuru as a county redeeming its glory. Is a county where for some times it had been interrupted negatively by ethnic conflict and such thing. And I must say, through devolution, Nakuru has been able to redeem its lost glory. Nakuru now, as a county, is a peaceful county where all the ethnic communities are able to live with each other. A county where even as we approach election, there is no tension, where everybody feel confidence that they will be able to campaign, they will be able to vote in a very peaceful atmosphere. Any disturbances or of severe kind.
Maybe Governor Kinuthia, you can talk to us about the theme for this morning's panel discussion. Nakuru is endowed with a lot of natural resources. You have been privileged maybe to have a county that has a beautiful scenery. We have the Lake Nakuru National Park that is world renowned for making Nakuru issue of the challenge sustainably develop.
So that back for the migration of the flamingo. And initially, people thought that since flamingo is the hallmark of Nakuru, maybe the immigration may have an effect on the tourism industry. But what we did is to ensure that we have a diversified tourism base, whereby we have the cultural tourism, we have the natural resource tourism, we have conference tourism. And in fact, even with the disappearance of the flamingo, whose reason we are still trying to fathom, but tourism has actually increased inbound here in the county, and most of the time are when our hotels in Nakuru are full to capacity, and it has become a real tourist destination in all those aspects that I have mentioned. In terms of sustainable development, I must say that Nakuru has really been ahead so that we do not overexploit our natural resource at the disadvantage of the environment itself. And that is why, for example, when you look at the issue of timber harvesting in this county, we have done it in a rather integrated manner, where harvesting of timber is always accompanied by new plantations being put up, and that integrated way in which we do not just leave the national government or the ministry to take care of our forest. We have brought in the stakeholders, particularly those who have harvested the timber, have involved in tree planting and such like activities. As far as our rivers and source of rivers are concerned, we have taken very serious measures to ensure that our water source are not disturbed in any manner. They are not destroyed. The water abstraction for those who are, for example, doing water irrigation is also controlled and managed in such a way that no one is around to abstract water to the disadvantage of perhaps those who are living downstream, or to the extent of drying the water resource. Aspects, for example, the scooping of desilted dams is done regularly. For example, this year alone, when we are in this dry period, we have taken advantage to ensure that all the desilted dams have been silted dams have been desilted, so that at least we do not lose those very important water reservoir.
Maybe you can tell us of the issue regarding the Itare Dam. It is in Nakuru County. The Wiper Party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, at one moment during his state address to the delegates here at the conference, said that it is an issue that has generated contention. And maybe as the governor, where this dam is going to be hosted, controversial or not controversial, what is your take about Itare Dam, and what does this mean to Nakuru's water scarcity problem?
Itare Dam is one of the mega projects that Nakuru has benefited during this first term of devolution, because as viewers, you are aware, although Nakuru houses some of the key and the major water towers in this country, but still most parts of Nakuru remains water scarcity areas. And for example, the Nakuru town, which is becoming very fast industrialized, we need a lot of water. We have a lot of hotels, so we have a water deficit. That one is for sure. And this Itare project has been one of the major plant projects whereby the dam is located in Doinet. Doinet is wholly squarely in Nakuru, and this is one of the measures that the county government and the national government has undertaken to ensure that Nakuru now become a water sufficient areas, because this project is going to cover half of Nakuru, starting with Kuresois, Elbagon, Moro, Joro, Rugai, and the town itself. And the project is already on. Progress has been very good. Already a lot of advantages and benefits has already been seen in terms of youth employment and such like. And we are sure by the time this project is finished, half of 50% of Nakuru water problem will have been solved. So this is a very important project which all Kenyans should be proud of, because all the environmental impact assessment had been done very well.
Yes, Governor.
And in any case, there's only one tributary which is affected by this dam, and there are almost another 20 tributaries which are not affected, and therefore it means all the areas of Nyanza, Bomet, Kericho will not be adversely affected. And in any case, even the water affected from the dam also being distributed to the neighboring counties like Bomet and Kericho. So this is a project which we all should all support, because scientifically is not going to have any adverse effect on the environment, neither on the surrounding counties.
Thank you very much, Governor Mbogwa. It's such an honor to have you speak with us on this 4th Devolution Conference. That was Governor Kinuthia Mbogwa from Nakuru County, talking about how devolution has had an impact in Nakuru County, specifically his end statements regarding the Itare Dam that has elicited a lot of political statements and debate over its sustainability and viability towards the environment and also the natural resources, both upstream and downstream, saying he has said that that is not something that is going to be of concern, and it is a project that will benefit not just Nakuru residents but other residents in neighboring counties. With me on set is Mwangi Wairia, the governor of Murang'a County. Welcome on set, Governor. It's such Nakuru County. Maybe tell us, how has it been so far? 4 years as a governor of Murang'a County. How has the journey been?
Thank you very much. So far, so good. And this conference is just about that, because it's a review of our journey for the last 4 years. We are the pioneer governors, and I think this is very crucial for us. It has been tough, but I think working together as governors, jointly with other stakeholders, the national government and other entities. I think I can simply say we've done our part. Yes.
Maybe apart from the politics and intrigues around your leadership in Murang'a County, the other day you came out saying there have been people who've been masquerading, or the challenges you have maybe encountered as you try and steer Murang'a County into the devolution. What are the success stories you can say today, 4 years since you came into Murang'a County as the governor? What has been the success story? There's been the mention of you working in collaboration with cooperatives, and that has been one of the highlights of your success stories. Maybe what are the other success stories we don't know about?
Thank you very much. I think to me, devolution is about households. It's not about the big story. And it's about empowerment. Devolution is about us taking care of the micro needs of our societies. And if I'm told to distinguish between centralized system of government and devolved system, one is about macro and the other one is about micro. And to me, the role of the governor is to empower households. We can do so many about laws and many other things, but one most pivotal, very primary role is to empower households, because the national government cannot go to the households, but the county government need to get into the households. And that's why the philosophy of Murang'a County government is about mobilization of people through cooperative system of governance. Because by doing that, we are able to reach out and to include as many people as possible in the sharing of the county cake. So Murang'a County government actually drives the cooperative philosophy as our philosophy of working. And if I can take an example of our mega premier milk daily development project, we've been able to restructure the daily development or the daily program in the county to the benefit of our people. When I took over, I chose On Daily as my flagship project. Why did I do that? I did that because I believe that it is possible, or nearly possible, for every home to own a cow, because a cow grows from a calf. And through that program, we are now able actually to pay out over 150 million shillings to daily farmers every month. That is money which is split into small households. Every household, nearly every household in Murang'a is able to get about 5,000 Kenya shillings. So to me, it's about that. It's about the micro performance of households within the county.
Thank you very much, Mwangi Wairia. Governor, it's such an honor to have you on set, and we do hope that come August, maybe you will be back as the governor of Murang'a County. And as he said, devolution is all about macroeconomics. According to the governor of Murang'a County, they've been able to empower households by ensuring that every homestead has a cow, because according to the governor, that dairy farming is one of the mainstays of Murang'a County, and that way they've been able to improve the social economic aspect of the residents of Murang'a County. Now, I'm also joined on set with the Deputy Governor of Nairobi County, Jonathan Mweke. Thank you so much, Deputy Governor. You had given a very interesting statement regarding the role of women in devolution. Maybe as a youth and also as a youthful leader, tell us maybe how you have been working, or you're working towards improvement of the status of not just women, but also the improvement of Nairobi County in terms of inclusivity of the youth and women in leadership.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bridget and NTV for having us. And I'd like to wish you a happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Today is the day where we are celebrating our women, and indeed you're one of the great women of this country.
Thank you.
We had a very interesting session just now on the role of women and the youth in devolution, in building devolution. And what I said in the conference was that majority of our citizens now are the youth and the women. And if you want devolution to work, then you have no chance of getting it work without involving the youth and the women. And not just creating policies that you think will benefit the youth or the women. The key thing here is inclusivity. So we must listen. We must listen to the young people and find out what is it that you want as a young person to be able to succeed in your life. Because at the end of the day, it's your life as a young person. And for us as leaders, our job is to empower you to make sure that you can get the best out of your life. So in Nairobi, we have listened. And since Nairobi is where people from all over the country come to look for opportunities, we found that the youth have told us their priorities are, one, finding a skill. They want to be able to be educated on whatever skill it is that they feel best suits them, so that they can produce. Number two is finding a job or finding
a business to do. Number 3, of course, is creating that enabling environment for these young people to be able to produce and make a living. And so what that has done for us, Governor Kidero and myself, as the people who've been mandated with leading Nairobi, is every single policy that we have around the youth and around the women is based on what they have told us. So I think it's a very good subject to have, especially on International Women's Day, where we look at that. I also would like Bridget to echo the words of the former President of America, Barack Obama. You know, women form almost 50%, actually just above 50% of the population of this country. And when President Obama was in Kenya in 2015, he commented and said, if you're going for a very serious competition and you exclude half of your team, how do you expect to win? So we urge the county governments, the national governments, even the private sector, the corporates, to ensure that they include women, not just in leadership, but in decision-making leadership.
Thank you very much for those powerful comments regarding women
Thank you.
empowerment. That was the Nairobi County Deputy Governor Jonathan Mweke. Thank you. Without including the youth and women in governance issues, and this has emerged even has ratified a lot of rules regarding the issue of women empowerment. It has also emerged that this conference, or at this conference, that very few women are actually in active leadership or are taking part in active leadership, and that none of the women who took part in the 2013 elections or even got an opportunity to even be elected governors or even deputy governors. Most of them got the deputy governors seats, and even the Wiper party leader Kalonzo Musyoka at one point saying that it is unfortunate that we have less than 100 women sitting at both houses of parliament. This is the 4th Devolution conference coming to you from the Kenya Wildlife Institute here in Naivasha County, and we do take you back to Nairobi for normal programming. I am Bridget Ngana.